You think you've got my number figured out? A motive born in drought and brevity. And if I'm not the soul of your design, I blatantly decline your remedy. Don't box me in, don't, or I'll leave. I'd rather be a dreamer, I'd rather be free, I'd rather be a leader, I'd rather be a queen, I'd rather be a singer in a trashy cover band. I'd rather be a closer, I'd rather be clean, I'd rather be a poser in a magazine, I'd rather be pretty much anything else than your machine. Wasn't always just a single shade, a palette full of gray in reverie. And I can burn it brighter than the sun. I have a golden gun inside of me. Don't box me in, don't, or I'll leave. I'd rather be a dreamer, I'd rather be free, I'd rather be a leader, I'd rather be a queen, I'd rather be a singer in a trashy cover band. I'd rather be a closer, I'd rather be clean, I'd rather be a poser in a magazine, I'd rather be pretty much anything else. And if I fall behind, ignoring all the signs, if I lose the fight, I still rage against the night. Don't box I'd rather be a dreamer, I'd rather be free, I'd rather be a leader, I'd rather be a queen, I'd rather be a singer in a trashy cover band. I'd rather be a closer, I'd rather be clean, I'd rather be a poser in a magazine, I'd rather be pretty much anything else than your machine.
Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Monday stream. I hope everyone's having an awesome Monday. Welcome. What is going on, everybody? Man, I hope nothing wild happened within the last 48 to 72 hours, because that would be wild, right? Mayhem Hippie, welcome. The Dude, welcome. John Lithium, Quad Bennett. Matt from the Letter Hack, welcome. Blue Brother. Another day in the Nightmare Frontier. Indeed. You know it did. Yeah. Hey, has anyone played the game Papers, Please? If you haven't, you should probably get familiar. You should probably get familiar with that game. Denny, U.S. citizen, welcome to late 1933 Germany. Yep. Last night VMAs. I actually saw the performance from Youngblood and members from Aerosmith. Doing like an Aussie tribute. That was pretty cool. Gavin Newsom TikTok posted JD Vance made me giggle pretty hard. I mean, hey, you gotta find something in these times. Yes, I've never played it, but I've seen enough videos on this game that actually does make me want to play it now. So yeah, good stuff happening. Good stuff happening in the good old US of A. Oh, this is pretty funny. Does it have copyright music? Let's see. Truly, historians don't have to learn about 1930s Germany. Nothing matches living it in real life. Yeah, I mean, it's here. Let's see. Okay. Ah! That's actually kind of funny. That is prime content right here. Looks like a hairy wizard. Now I'm going to have nightmares. Yeah, I mean, just there you go. Right there. I figured it would cheer my giggle. It's pretty funny. I like this is a accurate depiction of the vice president. This is pretty funny. Anyways, let's see how much stuff we can get through. All right, folks. Do the usual things. Do the usual things, folks, if you want to support the channel. Do all the things. Check out the merch store. Hit the exclamation mark tip, Substack, and join the Discord, folks. Check out my show on this space at 7 p.m. at 7 p.m. Eastern Time every Tuesday. That's right, Tuesday. Before we get to all the big stuff that's happening, including the new Supreme Court ruling, we have to talk about the obviously the biggest oppressed minority, gamers, of course. But in all seriousness, there is something kind of boiling on that front that really does need to be talked about. I think we kind of covered this briefly, but Mike Figueroa actually has a good breakdown as to why this is important. Really, in a broader sense of anti-censorship and actual free speech.
So, as a gamer myself who loves this industry, I don't necessarily think that it's controversial to say that this industry has so many problems. It's in crisis mode at this point. You have developers with no job stability whatsoever. Big companies like Microsoft keep swallowing up smaller studios and then closing them down. Crunch is becoming all too common. There's little to no unionization and thus no collective bargaining and worker rights. And on the consumer side, there's so many anti-consumer trends. It's not just that the prices of video games are increasing, but gamers are being nickel and dime.
Which, like, by the way, Nintendo pioneering the way on that, trying to make what is it, Mario Kart World, like $80 or some crazy stuff like that. $80 for Mario Kart World.
Through microtransactions, and the death of physical media has led to concerns about whether or not
meanwhile, like Team Cherry out here putting out Silk Song for $20. Incredible stuff.
Even own the games that we're buying. Not to mention, we're often sold unfinished or broken products that require patches. It is a complete mess. But as bad as it is now, things are getting a lot worse thanks to this new trend of censorship in video games. And to be clear, when I say censorship, I'm not talking about petty bullshit like the Stellar Blade petition where gooners were outraged that the developers made minor cosmetic changes to some of the main characters' outfits to make them less sexy in the opinion of horny gamers. And having just finished the game myself, I can assure you that there is no shortage of scantily clad outfits for Eve. So this was much ado about nothing, and the gooners
I mean, like, why, man? Seriously, dude. Like, I never understood that, really. Like, you're gonna make a big hoopla because the main character in a video game is not sexy enough?
The battle that they were fighting. Great game, by the way, that bullshit aside, but that's not the kind of censorship that I'm talking about here. I'm talking about puritanical anti-porn advocacy groups pressuring payment processors to get games removed from storefronts. This is what happened over the summer. An Australian advocacy group...
Yeah, I think, like, this is the problem, right? We have, like, payment processors who are essentially dictating, like, the type of content that's going to be on the internet, right? Like, because if you can bully, strong arm payment processors, like, that's it, right? Like, you as a company cannot operate without a payment processor. Like, you just really can't, especially if you're an online company like a video game developer or like an online store like Steam, right? You just can't operate without the payment processors. And this isn't just about video games, right? Like, this is about a broader problem here. That if they get their way, they can just bully payment processors to do whatever they want. Right, can't conduct a real business without being able to use a card reader. They did it to MJ stores. Yep. At least they can operate, like, with cash, kind of, but, like, you know, it's bad. It's bad. The only one I'm upset about is the new HP remake. No one can replace Alan Rickman. I'm just upset over Rickman not to change. I mean, it's... I don't know, like, maybe the actor will be alright. I just don't know. I learned a lesson. I'll never be pre-ordering a game again, waiting for a few days, reading the first reviews, and deciding when those reviews to approve or buy. Yep. I mean, like, you can rest assured that nowadays, like, it's very rare to be able to, like, pre-buy a game, because you can place money You can bet money that you're gonna have to like wait for all the patches to come in, and like mind you, again, you're paying like minimum $60, right? Like I remember, you know, games going to $60. Is wild, and now we're having $80 games. Nah. I get that though, like pre-ordering game, it's not even like the same anymore, honestly. Capitalism really does ruin literally everything. Wrong chat. But also rip Alan Rickman.
Called
True.
Collective Shout launched a campaign to get Visa and MasterCard to pressure storefronts like Steam and itch.io to remove adult-themed games from their stores. And they caved. They did what this advocacy group wanted. In fact, Steam delisted hundreds of adult games, although not all of them, so the criteria for removal is inconsistent.
Not all games are not expensive, but yeah, you're right. Yeah, I mean like the new like AAA, fresh off the press, you know. There goes my Saturday night. If it ain't on Game Pass, I don't buy it. Usually a few staples like Oblivion, Skyrim, and Red Dead Redemption. I mean, that's fair. I mean, like, Game Pass lets you at least play games, and if you want to buy them, you can. Silksong was 20 and no pre-order. Yep.
And
that's like the exception, though. Like, all games, like, Team Cherry is, like, literally, like two people in a trench coat masquerading as a development studio and made a great game for $20. It's crazy. I saw Silksong was available for the Switch. Yeah, for that cost. Yep, it's $20 across the board. Like really, like Team Cherry is upending like literally the concept, right? That you need to be this greedy, right? With all these big developers and whatnot. Yar. I have so much money invested into Guild Wars 2 and do not even play it anymore. Oof.
Known, but as we've learned over the last 8 months, when you give authoritarians an inch, they take a mile. So that wasn't the end of the censorship crusade with regard to games. And as Patricia Hernandez of Polygon reports, despite playing nice with payment processors, Steam's still getting pushed around by them. Nowhere is this more evident than with PayPal's decision to pull out of a swath of countries who do business on Steam, which it directly attributes to the wider Visa and MasterCard adult games debacle. And it's getting even worse. Hernandez continues, more recently, the fight against censorship has transitioned from dealing with games that were already greenlit by Valve and on sale to nipping their prospects in the bud. The developer behind a video game called Heavy Hearts say they were recently informed that their application for Steam Early Access was rejected by Valve because the company could no longer support the model for games with mature themes. But this isn't an isolated incident. Hernandez...
The last game I bought, $20, bought it like half a year after the release, and yes, it was worth it. Was it worth the original $70 without a doubt? No. Gotcha. I mean, look, if you have a Steam account, probably that's like one of the better ways to go, because Steam always has games on sale. I got it on Switch and PS5. Nice. Hooking up Team Cherry. Steam always has like sales and whatnot, so there's that. You can definitely wait, you know, until it goes on sale, or if you have Game Pass, you can play it while it's on Game Pass, and then wait for it to go on sale if you really want it. All games I play are a year or more old. Yeah, I feel that. I feel that 1,000%. I have so much stuff in my backlog that I just started like, picking up, and like games that are from like 2000. Well, let's not talk about it, okay? Because if I start doing math, you know, time and whatnot, that are a couple decades old. Also, I've been picking those up again.
Goes on to explain that the developers behind the RPG, The Restoration of Aphrodisia, was also denied entry into Steam's early access program, even though they're following Steam's own guidelines. And one might think that maybe this just applies.
Mario Kart for the win. I haven't played Mario Kart in a long time. I still play Oblivion. Bought the new one even. It was worse. Really? The remake is worse? And I was eyeing it too. I was eyeing it too because Mrs. Truth is a big fan of Oblivion. Big fan of Oblivion and Skyrim. We have like the original like old school Oblivion on the Xbox from back in the day that we bought a couple years ago, and yeah, I was eyeballing it because she really likes those games. We're not old. That's just like your opinion, man. Graphics were good. Less options on character making. Yep. I'm not old. I'm just not super young anymore. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I'll take that. Mrs. Truth. Yes, there is another difficult truth. Being an anti-Trump agitator, I would like to know when I can expect getting paid. I'm sorry, this is not the the George Soros stream. I apologize. The funny thing is, I gifted my Nintendo to my nieces, and that was the first time I played Mario Kart in ages. I haven't played Mario Kart in a minute and a half. Honestly. Like it's been a real minute since I've played Mario Kart.
To early access games, which for those who don't know, those are unfinished products consumers can essentially beta test. But that's not what this is about, because they've accepted other adult themed games into the early access program before. So Hernandez says that this is an indication that it's a new change in Steam's policy. But it gets so much worse, because Hernandez continues, in August, one anonymous Steam game developer went viral after posting on Reddit claiming that PayPal was withholding £80,000 in earnings made from programming an adult game on Steam, allegedly after the payment processor discovered the nature of the unnamed game. The developer says they were told they'd violated PayPal's terms of service and have since spent weeks trying to recover the money. What makes this situation particularly painful is that the game developer resorted to PayPal after having issues with regular banks, which forced them to find alternate means of doing business online. So we've reached a point where financial institutions and PayPal are acting as de facto moral police, basically.
Yeah, essentially. Because, like, if they're cutting off the ways of, whatever it is, right? Like, this is beyond video games. If they're cutting off, like, what kind of movies we can watch, what kind of music we can listen to, what kind of video games we can play, perhaps what kind of books we're allowed to download on the internet. Because, maybe an indie publisher needs, is trying to publish a book. And as it turns out that they need payment processors. Yes, even that, Mayhem Hippie. Even that. All of it is being affected. And of course, we're talking about like mature video games, but what if like payment processors are bullied into perhaps censoring content like certain political content that shouldn't be seen, like for example lefty content. Maybe these payment processors will threaten and strong arm companies to censor the type of political content that is shown on their platforms. Maybe these groups go after certain books that people that they don't want people reading, and try to take them off online stores. Stuff like that. It's not just about video games. Me and my dude's kid kicks our asses at Mortal Kombat. I mean, I can help. Okay, I can humble. been a minute since I've played Mortal Kombat, but it's like riding a bike, I imagine. I'm an Xbox player. Turns out Microsoft has better games when it comes to adult interests. I mean, you think so? I don't know. PlayStation's up there too. PlayStation's pretty good. PlayStation is I would say like pretty on par nowadays. Just to be clear, I am a original like 2000. Let's not talk about that. Original Xbox person from 2000 ish 2001. So yeah, I completely feel that, but like PlayStation does have some good games. I need a shooter. Far Cry not available for Nintendo. Oh, I mean, yeah, I guess, Nintendo has its own like niche audience. I still play my SNES games from my childhood, never gonna outgrow them. Heck yeah. It starts with the prawn. If they can moral police that, then it opens the door for more policing. Yep. That's a book that is only available by cash at bookstores. Yeah, see, exactly. That's the kind of stuff. See, like, if you can extrapolate that to things like that, where they make more and more books that they don't want people reading, that you can only do it by cash at bookstores. Which, I mean, like, hey, that's cool, but, it still takes, like, it still takes them off online services or accessibility for certain people. So, yeah, I mean, I can totally see them extrapolating that, especially someone like Collective Shout. Sega! With Trump, any censorship is possible. The funny thing is, J.D. Vance accused Germany of restricting freedom of speech. The irony would be funny if Vance wasn't serious. Well, no, I mean, like, it's kind of like the classic, it is a pretty classic fascist playbook, right? That you always accuse the enemy of what you yourself are doing. Everyone should purchase a copy of a certain book by a cookbook by redacted.
Choosing to reject business with this UK
super redacted
developer who hasn't broken any laws because they're presumably worried about AstroTurf backlash from advocacy groups. That is horrifying. And to add insult to injury, thanks to the UK's Online Safety Act, Steam is now subject to the country's age verification laws, which means that consumers have to jump through extra hoops just to purchase adult content that hasn't already been removed from the platform, which is legal, mind you. And as age verification laws become more common here in the United States, this change could soon affect us here. Now, I recently did an entire breakdown on age verification laws and why they're bad, and I would implore you to check that out. But let me just say, I'm not personally affected by this directly. I've never played a Gooner game, Stellar Blade aside, but I don't think that counts. So I'm not going to lose any sleep.
I mean, like, look, bro, personally, as a person who has played Stellar Blade, that is not a Gooner game, okay? Like, or maybe, I may have the definition wrong, but the point of Stellar Blade isn't a sexy android from the future, right? Like, there are some actual, like, deep plots for Stellar Blade about climate change and about humanity that are the core of the story of the game, right? Like, this has nothing to do with necessarily, like, Eve herself, other than she's, like, the protagonist. But the overall plot of a Stellar Blade, it has nothing to do with mature content. It's actually pretty interesting and deep. Now if you want to make it like about like a Gooner thing, I guess you can, but that's not the point of the game. Is my point. Whereas other mature games may have that, they may have mature content as the centerpiece, right? Which again, if you want to play those games, that's fine. That's not the issue. But I wouldn't say, I wouldn't call Stellar Blade a Gooner game. I think that you can like have aspects of it, but like the point of the game isn't to be a Gooner versus like a more mature game with adult content, with adult like themes. That's different. Stellar Blade be a Gooner though. Ha!
If I can't play MILF Simulator 3 or
what? It's like a standard sci-fi action adventure game. Yeah. Like Starship Troopers isn't a fascist film just because the main character was designed by a fascist.
affect us here. Now, I recently did an entire breakdown on age verification laws and why they're bad, and I would implore you to check that out. But let me just say, I'm not personally affected by this directly. I've never played a Gooner game, Stellar Blade aside, but I don't think that that counts. So I'm not going to lose any sleep if I can't play MILF Simulator 3 or whatever. But it's not like I don't have a horse in this race, because I do. In fact, we all do. What we're witnessing is a sort of censorship mission creep.
Stellar Blade isn't a Gooner game just because the main character was designed by a Gooner. Yeah, there you go. Mike's being tongue in cheek. Yeah. Given the news that we're gonna have to cover today, I think we should probably lead with this one. You know,
where it starts with one thing and then quickly expands to other things. And I also believe that adults should just have access to adult content because I believe in freedom. But if games with adult content are persona non grata all of a sudden, like, where exactly do you draw that line? What about Grand Theft Auto, for example, a game that's not about sex per se, but it still features sexual content, much like movies and TV shows do.
Yeah, I mean, like, this is the same thing that's going to happen when Grand Theft Auto 6 tries to launch. Like, they're going to try to ban Grand Theft Auto 6 over the same nonsense, like back in the day, saying, like, music causes people to be violent, causes kids to be violent or whatever. They're going to say the same thing. They do it every time a Grand Theft Auto game releases. It's the same conversation.
Logic applied to games like that. Could they get delisted? Well, guess what? That's already the plan, believe it or not, because per Polygon, quote, Collective Shout, the group which most publicly claimed responsibility for alerting payment processors of problematic material on Steam, ultimately...
I mean, like, maybe this is what, like, brings gamers back, right? Like, seriously, like, semi-jokes aside, like, seriously, man, like, this is nonsense. This is BS, okay? There'll be riots in the streets if they can't get their damn GTA. If this it isn't necessary to regulate, it's necessary to not to regulate. A translation from a common German idiom. Yeah, I get what you're saying about speech. Looks for Far Cry 3.
Tends to get games like Grand Theft Auto pulled from shelves. Already, a leader of the group has admitted that it does not see the actual legality of a game as the determining factor in whether it should be allowed to exist. Instead, it more broadly wants to push against any games that feature, quote, violence against women with little care for the context of the content. So you see where this is going. Oh, well, we think that this is bad, so we should get it banned. I don't like this or that, drug content, LGBTQ plus content. So let's all pressure payment processors into removing all the games that we don't like until there's none left.
Yeah, 100%. Like, it's going to end up like, it's going to end up being like, oh, a queer person is on a video game, get rid of it. 100%. 100%. This is not about protecting children or trying to make sure that, you know, only adults have access to adult content. Like, let's be so for real. It's gonna end up with like, oh, there's a queer person in the story. Boom. Get it off. You know what I mean? Get it off the shelves immediately. Yeah, digital book burning. That's exactly what this is. The digital book burning. I do not like simulator games, so they should all be banned. Yeah, 90s music makes people violent. Look how violent people were in the 90s. O.J. Simpson drove away from the cops instead of quietly complying. Yeah, it was the
This
music
is
that did it.
absurd. Now, in GTA 6, one of the protagonists is a woman. So when you inevitably get into a fight with the male character, will they use that as evidence that the game is encouraging violence against women? Who knows what they're standing?
1,000%. They'll say the drug stuff is bad. They'll say the violence is bad. They'll say like the sexual themes are bad. Whatever.
Are, but these authoritarian pricks want to be able to control what we're able to play.
Yep.
But a AAA game like GTA is probably much safer than smaller indie titles whose developers don't have the means to defend themselves against these kinds of campaigns. But that doesn't mean that a company like Rockstar still won't feel inclined to self-censor, so that way they avoid additional scrutiny. Perhaps, something in the game that is a little bit over the line or goes too close to the line gets removed because they're worried about what would happen if they allow it to go forward. Perhaps other developers and artists just stop pushing the boundaries altogether in order to comply with draconian crackdowns on anything deemed too adult.
100%. Like, yeah, like if these people had their way, like video games like Grand Theft Auto wouldn't exist. Video games like Cyberpunk wouldn't exist. I mean, seriously. I don't like sports games. Get rid of them. It's about invoking religious feelings, pure and simple. Yeah, I mean, it comes from that.
And I use air quotes because, adult is subjective. There's a Christian nationalist movement in the United States that's using this logic of adult content to erase queer people out of existence.
Yep. See, I knew it. Like, and I completely see that happening. Like, oh, there's a queer person on a video game, adult content. There's a queer person on TV, adult content. For exactly that purpose, to try to get rid of them. Try to erase them from media. Try to erase them from society. HBO would be toast, 100%.
I believe that any and all LGBTQ plus content is inherently adult. In fact, in Project 2025, the goal is to attach the explicit adult label to trans people, so that way them just being trans in public is tantamount to indecent exposure, which could get them arrested for simply existing.
Yep.
And on the subject...
Pretty sure that was a Texas law that they tried to pass. I'm like 99% sure that this was a Texas law that they tried to pass. I don't know how far that went, but I think we covered it. Okay, so it's not exact, but it's similar to where I was going with this logic, right? Or actually, where the far right were going with this logic. The Texas bill would we went over this would charge trans people with gender identity fraud, making it illegal to identify as trans on official documents and potentially leading to jail time. So the effect is the same, right? Like you just existing would be a felony. And this happened earlier this year, or they tried. Again, I don't know, like if they actually ended up passing this or not. But yeah, they certainly tried, or trying.
Of Project 2025, even though there's no evidence that Collective Shout has ties to them. Well, as Sam Woods pointed out in an August 8th article for The Gamer, this crackdown on adult-themed video games could be a wider consequence of Project 2025, which is a reasonable assumption given how one of the architects of Project 2025, Russell Vought, who's now Trump's OMB director, admitted that even though their strategy is to ban porn altogether, they wanted to accomplish that same goal in a more indirect way, because obviously that's going to offend less people. But don't take it from me. Let's hear it straight from the horse's mouth.
That when I talk about 50-year issues that we've lost because we didn't have
welcome.
framing, that's one of them. And our view is we've got to have a culture that values babies and the life that's created and is focused on the birth rates and makes them a positive good as opposed to a burden.
That's kind of a weird statement, man. That is a very weird statement, dude. That is pretty sus, man.
And so, we're always looking for what's the immediate fight leverage point that we can win and win a debate that allows us the next fight to get more of the win than we could have. For instance, right now we came up with an idea on pornography to make it so that the porn companies bear the liability for the underage use as opposed to the person who visits the website getting to just certify that I'm
Yeah, this is the whole concept behind like undermining the Section 230.
18. And we've got a number of states that are passing this, and you know what happens is the porn company then says, we're not going to do business in your state, which of course is entirely what we were after. Right? So we're doing it from the back door. We're starting with the kids, and then like we don't want we'd have a national ban on pornography if we could, right?
Yeah. So I mean like that's it right there. That is it right there.
So like we would have, you know, the porn companies being investigated for all manner of human rights abuses. So that's how we approach a problem, and life is no different. We're looking for...
Why are we in emote only? I don't know. How do I stop this? Shield mode. Oh, wait, it's already off. Oh, okay, you turned it off. If you want people to have more kids, you need to give those kids a future to look forward to, fix the economy, clean up the environment. Yeah, of course. Like, just to be clear, like, yeah. If you actually want, like, if you think that there's, like, some kind of issue with, like, population or whatever, and you want to encourage people to have children, well, you're going to have to put the socioeconomic circumstances so that people would feel financially secure enough to have children. That would be the first priority. But you can tell that they actually don't care about any of this because that's not their priority. If you ask Russell Vought or whatever his name is, like, oh, would you support programs to make sure that you have Medicare for all, make sure you have like food stamps and child health care, and make sure that you have everything set up for people to be like, you know, secure. He would say no. He would say no. It's like some socialist plot or whatever. I was just distracted. I got to finish school and make dinner. No problem. Thank you for stopping by. He appreciate it. Thank you. I think what they're trying to do is get more data, to be honest, because they'll have you upload your ID to sites and verify your age. That's part of it, 100%. 100,000% that's also part of it. No doubt about it. That these some of these other companies, that these data broker companies benefit. Yep. It's about religious feelings, which again is an excuse on its own. Coming up with religious feelings, it's an excuse to name real reasons. Those people somehow feel offended, and religion's a shield. Yeah, because they're bigoted. You're right. They use religion as a shield, but in reality, what they want. What they want is to be able to be bigoted, so they hide behind that faux religious sentiment.
You know, if we lose elections on this, then we don't have the ability to save babies. We don't have the ability to save life.
So rather than banning porn altogether, which would be unpopular, obviously, why not do it in a more underhanded, backdoor way, as he put it? What if you targeted the porn companies themselves and accused them of terrible things? Why not target the platforms that do business?
Long leg Homo sapien. I agree. Yeah, I mean, exactly it. When they are talking about we need more babies, what they really mean is we need to constrain women's rights so we can force them to perpetuate my society once we get empowered, because we know women will never willingly reproduce in our ideal society. 100%. It's about control. It's about control. Absolutely. Saving babies from Bill Simulator goes Hawaiian. So, my goodness, man. Yeah, really really trying to save the children here.
Companies that allow them to exist while you're at it. You see where I'm going with this? This effort to censor video games, that's working, by the way, comes straight from the Project 2025 playbook. And as Sam Woods of The Gamer explains, so how does this tie into what's happening now? Part of VOT and Project 2025's plans are to remove Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act. This law currently protects platform holders, providing immunity for any content uploaded to said platform that third-party users created. By removing Section 230, platform holders like Steam would be liable for any, quote, illegal content uploaded to the platform, as opposed to those creating and uploading said content.
Yeah, of course. They don't care about children. You know, they don't care about children being shot in school shootings. 100%. They don't care about any of that whatsoever. None of that matters. It's also about a certain skin color of babies, but you already know. 100%.
Themselves. If Steam were found guilty of hosting this
1000%.
content, the company could be hit with huge fines. Therefore, Steam, Itch, and many other platforms would likely place a blanket ban on any adult content, mitigating any risk of fines or other legal action. This, as pointed out on Reddit, would affect all forms of user-generated content, including fan art, mods, and videos, not just games themselves. Now, pressure campaigns on payment processors, those are already bad enough. But if Section 230 is repealed, which Trump supports, by the way, he's called for this before, life on the internet as we know it would cease to exist. The internet as we know it arguably exists because of Section 230. So getting rid of that would fundamentally transform the internet in draconian ways. Online free speech would almost certainly be limited on websites that rely exclusively on user-generated content like YouTube, Reddit, and others. In other words, gaming is just one of many avenues Christian nationalists are pursuing to take away our freedoms. So we are entering dangerous territory here, and adult-themed video games, that's just the tip of the iceberg. But the silver lining is that gamers are paying close attention now. That's something that they like is being affected by Christian nationalism, and my hope is that they'll understand how the reactionary ideology that so many of them adopted now threatens the hobby that they love so much. The threat to gaming was never about, more representation for women and queer people and people of color or pronouns and wokeness. It was Christian nationalism. It was puritanical conservatism. It was fascism. That is the threat to gaming. That's always been the case. And the gamers who were duped into supporting Republicans by right-wing grifters like Asmongold unknowingly did so against their own self-interest. And in a Reddit discussion about the Sam Woods article, a lot of non-reactionary...
Yeah, the blue brother. I mean, that's literally a unique, exclusive U.S. problem.
The gamers had quite a bit of smoke for the reactionary ones who helped usher in this era by voting for Donald Trump. Here's some examples. Gamers need to wake up to what's going on right now. Read the rest of Project 2025 too while you're at it. How many gamers voted for Trump? This is your free speech, fuckfaces. The frustrating part is that the people that need to see this, gamers in Asmongold's audience and the like, will likely never see this, and yet will still kick and scream about the issue. I just want to play games. I don't want to talk about politics. Well, what's it going to take for gamers to jump off this horseshit alt-right pipeline and realize that conservatism will destroy everything they love? Gamers will watch Asmongold all day and be like, Daddy Trump, but then bitch and moan about Project 2025 trying to ban their porn, lol. And I agree with this sentiment. So, yeah, maybe gamers should actually rise up after all.
Gamers, rise up! God, that was so cringe, man.
But not against the woke mind virus, against the actual threat to this hobby that we all love, which is Christian nationalism and fascism, and more broadly, capitalism. But that's a different story for a different day. I do have videos about that as well on this channel if you want to check it out. In conclusion, though, now is the time to fight, because it is going to be very hard to get back the freedoms that they're taking away from us once we lose them. And if they can
Yep, that's kind of why this is important in a lot of ways when it comes to free speech. Because if these people get their way, it's going to be very, very difficult to undo a lot of this. Especially if they get this stuff legislated, man, that's going to be that is going to take a Herculean effort to revert. If they manage to do stuff like actual legislation unknowingly,
easily get storefronts to take away content simply by a little bit of pressure.
I think Mike's talking to gamers.
That is a sign that all companies are bending to fascist authoritarians. So we cannot allow this to happen. We have to...
Yeah, I mean, all capital eventually ends up bending to fascist authoritarianism.
Fight, because if we don't, they're going to take away everything that we love.
Whew. Where do we start? I guess we should start here. Let's do this one. Trump's version of freedom of speech. I support freedom of speech. I support any opinion as long as it's the same as mine. Yeah, I think like people, like, just to be clear, and I've probably said this like quite a amount of times, but when these people talk about freedom of speech, they're not actually talking about freedom of speech. What they actually mean is, I want to be a bigoted, hateful a-hole, and I don't want to suffer any consequences. That's it. That's what this whole thing is about. All these free speech warriors and whatnot, that's what they're talking about. What they are actually saying is, I want to have no socials. I don't want any social consequences for the bigotry and the racism and all the stuff, the xenophobia that I want to spew out, because I'm tired of having social consequences every time I want to be an a-hole on the internet. Waxing philosophical, welcome. Freedom of speech equals anti-wokeness. Right. A lot of times they also mean that too. Wow, I'm actually impressed that you felt the need to type out this comment. I mean, like, you actually dedicated the time to type out this comment. Boy, Twitch just keeps promoting you anti-Trump channels no matter how many times I block you. Don't bother banning me, or I don't give a, as I'm going to block you instead. Wow, I mean, like, they actually felt the need to type that whole thing out. I'm genuinely impressed. That they actually felt the need to. First of all, they felt the need. They felt the need to come into the channel, right? Confirm whether or not it was an anti-Trump channel. Although, like, my tags are pretty obvious, I guess. So I'll take that little detail back. So they felt that they saw my channel, right? So let me get this straight. They saw the channel. They felt the need to come into the channel, all right, and then type out this message. Wow. I mean, I'm flattered. I'm flattered. I'm not just anti-Trump. I'm anti-fascist. I know. Yes, fundamentally, that's what this is all about. But I just find this amusing. Senpai notice me type behavior. Yep. Is boy Twitch different than regular Twitch? Who knows? Welcome, Jesse James. They're so lame for that. Like, it's actually it's almost amusing and fascinating that they felt the need to do that. I mean, hey, you know, maybe they're maybe they're a comrade trying to promote leftist channels by typing in chat and, you know, clicking on the channel. But just out of curiosity. Oh yeah. No, this is. Yeah. It's not the core, goes deeper, really. As any opinion which doesn't perfectly align with mine makes you an enemy of the state. Oh, I'm sure they believe that too. I'm just saying that, like, a lot of these free speech, internet free speech warriors, they feel that way. Trump himself, I don't believe Trump fundamentally believes in freedom of speech. He constantly bemoans that idea. I mean, he goes after news outlets. He has threatened to sue news outlets. He has kicked news outlets out of the White House press corps. I mean, like, it's clear that Donald Trump doesn't like freedom of speech. Clearly. You know what's funny? This person actually has a history in this channel. Amazing. If I didn't kick them along with Rye, they're stupid. Yeah, 100%. Like I thought that's a pretty good indicator here. Never mind about free speech in any legal context. Anyway, it's always when you refuse to debate them or platform their garbage because they know that their political strategy doesn't rely on truth in any debate, just merely spreading. Yep. I'd posit that Trump had fairly typical rich guy beliefs, that he just has a larger platform to act on them. I mean, true.
There's no crime. They said crime's down 87%. I said, no. It's more than 87%. Virtually nothing. And much lesser things that take place in the home they call crime. You know, they'll do anything they can to find something. If a man has a little fight with the wife, they say this was a crime, see? So now I can't claim 100%.
Yeah, this guy's definitely a freaking predator, man. He's definitely a domestic abuser. No one talks like that unless they're a domestic abuser, man. No, literally no one talk like the fact that his brain even went to that is wild. This guy is 100% a domestic abuser, man. Like nobody talks like that, man. This is like abuser language. This is like I can't believe I'm being persecuted. Like nobody asked you about domestic violence, bro. Like you're literally, you brought that up, man. You brought that up, man. Oh wow, wild stuff. It's 1930 playbook. The funny and no, that's not the right word. Trump is deeply unaware of what really happened here. I don't know. I think he's pretty keen on that. Trump may be, a moron. Trump is not the brightest bulb, but he's evil, and I think that he is, while a moron, still capable enough to understand and act on these evil impulses. Even 2016, Trump wouldn't say some ish like that. Dude is definitely on some I won't be around much longer, so I'm gonna say whatever the fuck energy. Or maybe, it might be that, or maybe it's just the fact that like he feels like there's no point, right? Like who's gonna stop him? Who has stopped Trump? Not the Supreme Court. Not the Supreme Court. No one has stopped Trump. So it could also be like he just feels like a bit untouchable, and to a degree, he's kind of right. I mean, nobody's stopping him. Yeah, just casually defending spousal abuse. If assaulting your spouse is okay, assaulting your spouse is okay according to Trump, 100%. He clearly feels like that's okay because he's probably done that before. Because nobody talks like this. Like nobody talks like that, except people who are abusers or defend abusers. Trump definitely doesn't understand what Casey's really were. He's too dumb. No, I think he's evil too. Like. He can be, like, two things can be true at the same time, right? Like, you can be a complete moron, but you can also be a genuinely evil motherfucker. And this guy is an evil, like, I mean, you know what kind of gives it away? That he may not know, like, the details and the nuances of what happened historically, but he knows enough. It's true, not only nobody has touched him, but they've gone out of their way to protect him from the consequences. Yep. It'd be it would be a terrible precedent if he didn't face consequences before his passing. People wholesale abandoning even capitalist doctrine just to appease this guy's nuts. I mean, like, that's kind of how it goes, right? Like, capital always bends to fascism. Capital always bends to fascism. It's a tale as old as time. As old as fascism has existed. This is also supposed to be the law and order president, by the way. Just casually saying, like, little things, like, if something happens in the home, they call it crime. Not me, I never did that, but, when they say that something little thing happens between a man and his wife, Jesus Christ. And the peace president. Yep. I tend to agree. He misses the real meaning of Auschwitz, but he's got a general idea. I mean, like, he knows enough. That's my point. He knows enough. I mean, he talks, like Hitler, talking about how a certain group of people poisoned the blood of the country. I mean, that's straight from the horse's mouth, kind of deal. The people that he has around him certainly talk that way. So yeah, I mean, again, he might not know all the details or intricacies or nuances of what happened, but he certainly knows enough. I mean, what better example than him praising and putting President Jackson's portrait, right? Like he knows what Jackson did, right? He knows what Jackson did. Like the two things that Jackson is most famous for, that even like the most elementary history lessons you would know, he's literally known for two things: define the Supreme Court, which is a-okay, like authoritarian, and genocide, the Trail of Tears. Like literally the two things that President Jackson is known for. And Trump is like, yep, that's the guy I want in the Oval Office. So I mean, like 100%. Again, I don't know if he knows like what intricacies and what happened and how disgusting and how brutal the Trail of Tears were, or how brutal Andrew Jackson was, but he knows enough and he agrees with it. I mean, like, it's so bad. Like, the Trail of Tears was so bad, and I'm just going off on a small tangent here, that there is an account of a Confederate soldier. Okay, mind you, a Confederate soldier who fought in the Confederacy, saying that he had never seen anything as bad as that, as the Trail of Tears. Okay. So, I mean, like, and this is exactly the guy, the president, that Trump is like, yep, put that guy up there. That's the guy, Memo for the record: while your wife is your property to these people, so it tracks that he would say it. Oh, yeah, 100%. Trump is definitely planning on sending ICE after asocials and undesirables next. It would not surprise me, given the fact that the Supreme Court has made some questionable decisions and furthering along this whole authoritarian gravy train, which we will talk about right now. Actually, you know what? Let's do this. We're gonna speed run through some of these real quick. And then we'll get to the Supreme Court decision. BCat, welcome. Ladybug, welcome. Okay, so it is happening, folks. Apparently, it is going to happen. It is happening in Chicago. What Supreme Court decision? Oh, just So I know that the title doesn't give it all away, but see, the premise of the case, it was whether or not you could stop people based on profiling them. Okay, so that's the the title doesn't do it justice, because really the severity of the actual case of this is huge. So the reason why I made the comment of the United, if anyone hasn't played the game Papers, Please, you should probably become familiar with it, because this is exactly how this is going to play out. So the title doesn't just do it justice, but the point of the Supreme Court case was to argue whether or not the Trump administration was profiling people, which it was, and the Supreme Court said, I guess that's all cool. The Supreme Court more or less said ICE can do roving patrols in any area based on skin color, type of job alone. Yep. Ladybug, yes, you did make it. You did make it. You're right, 100%. My original opinion came from German perspective. I wish I had a deeper understanding of U.S. history. No, it's okay. I'm just tacking on I'm constructing the bigger picture, right? Because I don't want people to just come away with Trump is just this bumbling moron, which he is, right? I mean, he said so much like moronic stuff, it'll make your head spin. But he's also, two things can be true at once, right? Like he can be like a big moron who doesn't even like know anything, talking about, windmills causing cancer, doesn't even understand the concept of how tariffs work. I mean, like, yeah, he's a bumbling moron, but like he's an evil bumbling moron, and that's the problem. Supreme Court more or less said ICE can do roving patrols based on skin. Yep. We're so freaking cooked. Oh yeah, no, we're beyond well done type of cooked. We're like congratulations. Okay, we're not even well done. We're congratulations level. One can be addled and calculating at the same time. Yeah, I mean it 100%. Like you can be like a complete bumbling moron, but if the right people counsel you and you have some kind of vision, in this case a dystopic, fascist, theocratic state, if you have that kind of vision, and you have the money and the power, then yeah, I mean you can make it, you can manufacture it into existence. Yeah, I don't know. He looked a little illegal. Seems like a valid defense in a courtroom now for ICE. Yep. So that's what this is about. The Trump administration launches Chicago crackdown amidst Operation Midway Blitz. So it's happening right now, folks. After much speculation and teasing by President Trump, the Department of Homeland Security said it was launching its Operation Midway Blitz, a new initiative targeting. By the way, like the teasing was some like dystopic AI, cringy freaking photo that he posted on Truth Social. The DHS said in a social media post on September 8th, the operation is in honor of Katie Abram, the 20-year-old woman from Chicago's northwest suburbs, was killed in a hit-and-run crash by Julio Cucubol, a 29-year-old Guatemalan national who's in the United States illegally. Because that's why that's what we're doing. Why we're doing the fascism, right? That's why we're doing the fascism, because of one tragic incident. Who commit crimes as an innocent Home Depot workers? Yeah, the real criminals, right? Can't do it. Be well, Carlos. Take care of yourself. Guitar jammy for me. I completely understand that memo, and I appreciate you being here, even if it was just for a moment. Were George Bush mission accomplished? No. I've always said I'm more worried about the people who surround him. Yeah, I mean, definitely. That your Millers, your Homans, your Gnomes, who's the other one? Miller, Gnome, Loomer. Yeah, scary people. And not all of them are competent. Some of them are. Leaving stream on for you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Even if it's just leaving a view, leaving a lurk, I appreciate that. And thank you again for stopping by. It's really the playbook of how to turn a democracy, if it was even one to begin with another story. That's another story. Yeah, I agree with you, into autocracy. The only thing is we're still in the progress. I mean, yeah, it's kind of hard because, like, you don't just, autocracy, authoritarianism, fascism, it doesn't just like happen from one day to the next, right? So it's kind of when we look at this back from in history, right? Like when historians are going to look at this, they're going to pinpoint like several little flashpoints throughout the United States' history that led to this place. It's not something that, happens overnight. It's going to feel like that, right? It's going to feel like that maybe. But it's not, Germany didn't wake up, and it was like Nazi Germany, right? It didn't happen that way. It's a series of decisions, a series of compromised institutions. Yep. McConnell denying that Supreme Court justice is likely one of those flashpoints. Yeah, I mean, like the historians are going to argue, like, piece that together. But surely the fact that the Senate, acted the way it did, the fact that President Trump got to elect 3 Supreme Court justices, got to put in 3 justices in, the fact that Democrats fumbled twice to this authoritarian fascist. I mean, like, to the fact that, like, capitalism, it has destroyed has destroyed everything. Essentially, the economy was already pretty bad, so much so that people were willing to even turn to a person like Trump, who kind of evoked all of this, in a sense. Like, Trump isn't the problem, in a sense. He's more like the natural conclusion of this crisis, of capitalism in crisis, right? That's all I'm saying. Hitler didn't become a dictator in January of 1933. It took him like 18 months. Yeah, right. It didn't. You didn't wake up in a dictatorship. It might feel that way, if you look at it. But no, it took time. The Senate not convicting Trump's impeachment as compared to Brazil and South Korea, straight up prosecuting their fascists. Yes, the Senate letting Trump go after all he did. The fact that, like, the fact that the Electoral College, which was supposed to be, by the way, right, how they tried to sell it, besides like the racism aspect of the Electoral College, one of the selling points was supposed to be to prevent the very same thing that's happening here, right? Like, the Electoral College would be like, actually, I think this person's just like not, that's just not, no, and like actually, kind of de facto overrule someone that could be a dictator, by denying them that. The fact that despite the president was convicted of 34 felonies and was still allowed to run is beyond me. Like you said, the DOJ not prosecuting Trump. I mean, like, there's so many, like, different little dominoes along the way. Like, even before Trump, right? Like, even before Trump was even a thing, you can point to, like, the decline of the economy, the fact that capitalism was allowed to just go, unchecked. I mean, there's so much stuff that we can point to. Most historians agree that Hitler came into power in early 1933, and it took him 1.5 years to finally seize control of the courts. That was his last step. Yep. It didn't take long. The repeal of Glass-Steagall. Yeah, I mean, like, that which allowed, capitalism to start roaming around the disastrous Citizens United kind of stuff. There's a lot of flashpoints that we can point to. The deliberate shared policy Washington consensus of dominant parties that de facto had at the same time they had entered this unholy alliance, a monopoly on positions of formal political power, and maintained it still at least a complete, if not more so, monopoly than it was then. No small part of the pact for that purpose, to betray and shut the working class out of political representation for the next several decades. In my opinion, what you would summarize more or less the but-for cause that have led us here. Yeah, I mean, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. And this is all engineered by, the capital class. At every stage, every administration was to actually put this fucker in jail while he was trying to destroy the country. Yeah, nobody did anything. Obama and Clinton were horrid goons when it came to allowing corporate freedom. Yep, I agree. This was even before Trump. What has basically demolished the possibility in formal institutions, electorally competitive organizations for an alternative, making meaningful progress, if not as fast as many people deserve, that people actually could believe in and get by in the vacuum created by the capitalist class deliberate effort. If you're interested, there's a really good YouTube video explaining it. I could send you a link via PM. I mean, you can definitely send it to me. I can put it in the chat. We got to keep it moving after this. You can send it to me. I'll put it in chat for people to check out. the DHS said that the Immigration and Custom Enforcement operation will target people in the country illegally who commit crimes and flock to Chicago and Illinois. Hundreds of Homeland Security officials are expected to operate from a naval base outside Chicago. Homeland Security Assistant Secretary Tricia McLaughlin said in a statement that the operation will go after the worst of the worst, as we've seen. As we've seen, the worst of the worst, like, people at their immigration hearings. The worst of the worst, people like working at Hyundai plants. Truly the worst. Created these conditions where people are just broadly speaking apathetic, despairing, checking out, or susceptible to reactionary bait, turning to Nazis, telling them false but easily digested answers to their problems. Yep. And those same elites still by and now large, clearly based on how they're behaving, are not feeling threatened enough by fascism to open the door for any alternative, which should tell you everything. Yep. I mean, like, my understanding, and I think you may have come after, or I don't know, maybe you were here. My understanding is, historically speaking, capital it always ends up bowing to fascism, because the alternative would be the destruction of capital, right? And the capital class would rather bow or bend to fascism rather than not. Even if they believe in it or not, it doesn't matter. You should have received the link. Yep, I see it. Let me put this up here.
For the last...
Oh, I think I've seen this channel before. I think she was a German citizen who moved to the United States, right? And she became like a blogger, kind of highlighting her life from Germany, right? Like she moved from Germany. Historically, at least, capitalist elites have always preferred any amount of doubling down on brutality that really they've had to be okay with on some level or another to be capitalists and enjoy their ill-gotten gains the whole time. Yeah, as long as the gravy train keeps going, and as long as you save me from the, bad socialists, then whatever, dude. I heard that the green card applications were being accepted on or after January 20th. I wonder if Hyundai employees had their applications held. Who knows? Probably. Probably. This is the link that the Blue Brother was talking about. Again, if I remember, I'm pretty sure I've seen this creator before a long time ago. They're like a blogger, like a YouTube blogger, and she documented her life coming from Germany to the United States, and I think so. Felly moved to the U.S. in 2016. Her channel about comparing the Germany to the U.S. Yeah, okay. So this is the same YouTuber. Okay. Yeah. I think I've seen her before. I'm vaguely familiar with her channel. So I knew I've seen her before. I think this is a pretty interesting perspective to have. Especially coming from like someone who actually was from Germany. I think that's a pretty interesting perspective. So definitely, if you have a moment, there's the link. Biarco is one to believe in your supremacy over another, but also to be highly submissive, little baby and woozy babies in the face of a perceived higher power. Yep. Which is why capitalists always fold to fascies. The parallels are so obvious they're impossible to neglect. Well, yeah, because it's fascism, right? Like, yeah, it's not exactly like Nazi Germany, right? Not really, but also like it's too on the nose to ignore, and a lot of the same playbooks are being used. So yeah, it's the saying, right? History may not repeat itself, but sure as heck does rhyme, doesn't it? President Trump and Secretary Noem have a clear message. No city is safe for criminal illegal aliens. If you come to our country illegally and break our laws, we will hunt you down, arrest you, and deport you, and you will never return. Jesus Christ. The announcement from Homeland Security comes as Chicago is bracing for the Trump administration's deployment of National Guard troops and more ICE agents. Last week, Trump said we're going in response to a violent Labor Day weekend. What? Violent Labor Day? I hate the framing of this. I hate the framing of this, man. Because it's not about crime. Yep. It's kind of weird, isn't it, long leg Homo sapiens? Kind of weird. It's kind of weird. MAGA will still deny, but yeah, living in a parallel world is like that. Yep. Meanwhile, Pritzker and Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson have variously rejected the notion, saying they'll stand up to Trump's tyranny. On September 7th, Trump told reporters Chicago is a very dangerous place and he could solve Chicago very quickly. I mean, like, what about, like, the red states and red cities that have higher murder rates? What about that? Marching orders on the red states, murder rates haven't been sent out yet, so they're just saying nothing. Yeah, I mean, like, but we know this stuff, right? Like, there's plenty of red cities and red states, or cities in red states that are Republican controlled that have higher murder rates. We know that even before. Like, it's not like a new trend. But of course, it's not about crime. Florida man is a meme for a reason. But my point is, this is not about crime. Because if it was about crime, we'd be actually talking about serious... we'd actually be having serious conversations about what causes crime. How can we reduce crime? How can perhaps we alleviate the socioeconomic circumstances to deter crime? Like, example, giving people health care. Making sure people have a roof over their head. Making sure people have food. Gotta host our local Indivisible meeting. Go look up Indivisible in 5050 for your next next No King's Day. Hey, appreciate that, Mayhem Hippie. They've got the memo statistics. They've got the memo, the statistics. They didn't agree with their narrative, so the red states stopped keeping crime statistically, presumably. Crime statistics, presumably. Appreciate that, Mayhem. President Trump and Secretary Noem have a clear message. No city. Oh, yeah, we already went through this. We don't have to do this. Crime is a stand-in for terrorists. Yeah, I mean, it's stand-in for whatever, right? Like, you know, like we're not actually dealing with crime at this point. It's not about that at all. Not about that at all, in my opinion. I just went over her video and a bunch of Nazis are crying they aren't Nazis in the comments. Yeah. Yeah. I just, whatever word we use in this decade to justify a form of illegal authoritarian and illegal BS. Yep. This man is not prepared to hear what millions of Americans will be praying for. Have a good evening. It's time for me to head to bed. Your streaming schedule doesn't allow me to turn into your channel regularly, but I won't miss a chance. Hey, no problem. Look, that's why the YouTube is there. You can always scroll back. You don't have to, watch it live. Although I guess it's different, but I appreciate you coming through. This is straight from the White House, published on the White House website. In a powerful address at the Museum of the Bible, which, what? President, I didn't even know this was a thing. Why is this a thing? Trump emphasized the enduring role of faith, based values, which, what? And reaffirmed his commitment to protecting our religious freedoms. The president also launched America Prays, an initiative, a call for all Americans to unite in prayer for the nation's strength, peace, and prosperity as the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence approaches. President Trump reaffirmed our nation's founding principles. When faith gets weaker, our country seems to get weaker. When faith gets stronger, good things happen for our country. It's amazing the way it seems to work that way. Under the Trump administration, this is nonsense. We are one nation under God, and we'll always be. Actually, that didn't happen until during the Red Scare era. That was never. We're supposed to have a separation of church and state. There is no, like, we don't have an official religion. Like, there's no, that's not a thing. The only reason we now have this one nation under God thing is because we were trying to show the godless commies, the godless communists, what was up. Yeah, apparently there's a Museum of the Bible. President Trump called for Americans to come together in prayer. Next year, we'll celebrate the 250 years since Declaration was signed. As part of the grand commemoration, we've invited America's great faith communities to pray for our nation, our people, and peace for the world. Secretary of Housing and Urban Development Scott Turner announced more than 70 faith organizations have joined together to participate in the America Prays initiative. Think about the miracles that would take place. This is like delusional. This is delusional stuff. This is cult stuff, man. This is cult stuff. America made it all the way through marching on Berlin and defeating Nazis without anyone, anywhere calling it one nation under God. Yep, that only happened after, we had to defeat the godless commies of the USSR. Communists too damn focused on material conditions. Effing heathens. Yep. President highlighted the importance of faith in God, which, let's be honest, the guy is all nonsense, man. To have a great nation, you have to have religion. No, you don't. No, you don't. I believe that so strongly. There has to be something after we go through all of this, and that something is a God. Okay. This is wild. He doesn't believe in any of this, by the way. If I remember correctly, part of the reason the founders put separation of church and state and religious freedoms because they wanted to do business with Muslim countries at some point. Gotcha. I mean, that I didn't know. America has always been a nation that believes in the power of prayer and will never apologize for our faith. America is not a Christian country. It's not an any religion country. That's like literally the whole point. We'll never surrender our God-given rights. Rights aren't God-given. Rights are made by people. We'll defend our liberties, our values, and our sovereignty, and we'll defend our freedom. This is like fascist talk, right? Because indeed, we have, like, every day, we have smaller and smaller liberties. So yeah, this is like double speak, really. President Trump welcomed a 12-year-old California student who was forced in school to read material contrary to his religious beliefs. Last year in 5th grade, Shay was forced to read a book to a kindergarten student promoting a message of radical gender ideology that is contrary to his religious beliefs and ours. Yeah, so like the radical gender ideology was probably, I don't know what this story is about, but I imagine the radical gender ideology was like that, like queer people exist. That is contrary to his religious beliefs and ours. I mean, this kind of cements like this idea, like they really do just want like queer people like gone completely. President Trump admonished the Democratic senator for denying that our rights come from God. The need for this commission has never been more clear than it was last week, when our ineffectual senator from Virginia, a man named Tim Kaine, stated that the notion of that our rights come from our Creator is extremely troubling to him. It's a declaration of independence that proclaims that we're endowed by our Creator with the right to life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. The senator from Virginia should be ashamed of himself. I mean, like, yeah, this is in lockstep with this Christo-fascist concept. And this is posted on the White House website. Like this little like news snippet, I guess, is on the White House website. Like this is what they are pushing for. I truly underestimated the frustration of watching authoritarian leaders just do clown shit on top of their evil shit. It's like the Turkmen dictator who banned all colors except for white. Not only being led by an evil person, but an evil person with like 7-year-old interpretation of reality. Right, like that's exactly what I was trying to say earlier. Like, yeah, I mean, sure, he's like a bumbling moron, but like he's evil, and like it's super dangerous, right? When he's trying to impose this like theocratic fascist ideology on everybody. That's the problem. And I don't think he believes this. But he might feel like this will keep him in power. I'm gonna lurk on YouTube for a second while I run some food. Hey, thank you. Appreciate that. You don't need to be particularly competent to do a lot of damage. You just need the capability, the access to power. Yep, and just enough, right? Stay sane, everyone. Well, we'll try. We'll try. Folks, I also, really quick before we go over the last story here, thank you all. For those of you on the YouTube side, you guys have just helped us reach 400. We just crossed that 400, I assume not too long ago. I just saw it right now. Thank you all. Keep it up, folks. I'll open the segment with the same thing. I said this earlier in the beginning of the stream. Folks, if you haven't played Papers, Please, now's the time to get familiar with this. The U.S. Supreme Court backs Trump on aggressive immigration rate. Doesn't seem like it's too bad. But let's take a look at it. The Supreme Court again backed President Trump's hardline immigration approach. Sure. Letting agents proceed with Southern California raids targeting people for deportation based on their race or language in a decision that dissenting justices said makes Latinos fair game to be seized at any time, which is 100% true. Like that's how this is going to play out, because now the Supreme Court, again, this has been decision after decision death by 1,000 cuts or death by 1,000 decisions, right? Or maybe just a few dozen at this point. But this is how it's falling, little by little, little by little. Because now, based on the decision of the Supreme Court, this sets the precedent, not just in South Carolina, or Southern California, I'm sorry. This sets the precedent that you can be targeted based on how you look. And being a U.S. citizen it is not guaranteed that you being a citizen will protect you, okay? The only problem with Papers, Please is the theme song gets stuck in your head. The court granted a Justice Department request to put on hold a judge's order to temporarily bar agents from stopping or detaining people without reasonable suspicion that they are in the country illegally by relying on race or ethnicity, or if they speak Spanish or English with an accent, among other factors. The administration quickly vowed to continue, quote, roving patrols. So again, like, if you look, okay, if you, quote, fit the description, nowhere here does it say whether or not you are a citizen. Yeah, 400, we just... We just made it. The Supreme Court's 3 liberal justices publicly dissented, directing pointed criticism at its conservative majority. The administration has all but declared that all Latinos, U.S. citizens or not, who work low-wage jobs are fair game and to be seized at any time, taken away from work, and held until they provide proof of their legal status to the agent's satisfaction. I.e., Papers, Please. Rather than standing idly by while our constitutional freedoms are lost, I dissent. If I get detained, I know Klingon. Los Angeles-based District Judge Mame Frimpong found on July 11th that the Trump administration's actions likely violated the Constitution's Fourth Amendment against unreasonable searches and seizures. The judge's order applied to her court's jurisdiction, covering much of Southern California. The Supreme Court's order was brief and issued without any explanation, a common way it handles emergency matters, but one that has generated confusion in lower courts and criticism from some of the justices themselves. The court has a 6-3 conservative supermajority. The Trump-appointed U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi called the decision a massive victory, writing on social media that immigration enforcement officers can now continue carrying out roving patrols in California without judicial micromanagement. So yeah, I mean, again, this is huge ramifications because it basically sets that precedent anywhere. Because let's say they start doing these, quote, roving patrols wherever they want, and you try to fight this, they'll just point to that Supreme Court decision and say, well, the justices already said that we can do this, and that's not. A lawsuit challenging the raids accused the administration of using roving patrols by masked and heavily armed agents who have conducted interrogations and detentions based on racial profiling. They resemble brazen midday kidnappings because they are. They resemble kidnappings because they are. Individuals with brown skin or approach are pulled aside by unidentified federal agents and suddenly and with a show of force and made to answer questions about who they are and where they are from. A group of Latinos people caught up in the raids, including some who are U.S. citizens, filed a proposed class action lawsuit in L.A. Federal court in July. Muhammad Tassar, an attorney with the ACLU of Southern California who helps represent the plaintiffs, vowed to continue to fight the administration's racist deportation scheme. This decision is a devastating setback for our plaintiffs and communities who for months have been subjected to immigration stops because of the color of their skin, occupation, or language they speak. 100%. Like it is now like a worry. Like if you speak Spanish, okay, just speaking Spanish because you have family that speaks Spanish like I do, is now a possible liability. I wouldn't mind getting deported to. How's that pronounced? Konos? This is how you know I'm not like a big like Star Trek kind of Oh, Kronos. Kronos. Kind of outing myself here is not the biggest Star Trek knowledge or knowledge knowing person. One plaintiff, Pedro Perdomo, said in a statement that he joined the case because of what happened to me is happening to others every day just for being brown, speaking Spanish, or standing on a corner looking for work. He said that agents did not explain why they grabbed him and they did not have a warrant. I was treated like I didn't matter, locked up, cold and hungry without a lawyer. Now the Supreme Court says that's okay. That's not justice. That's racism with a badge. 100%. 100%. Thank you, BCAT. All of you made that happen. Being anything but a redneck Aryan is illegal. Basically, according to the Supreme Court of the United States. Concurring with Monday's decision, conservative Justice Brett I like Beer Kavanaugh said the apparent ethnicity alone cannot furnish reasonable suspicion, but it can be a relevant factor when considered with all salient factors. What are you talking about? But that's all they have to go by. Like if these Gestapo goons are going around rounding up people, what do you think they're basing that decision on? Like Brett Kavanaugh's pretending like there's actual investigations happening here, right? Kavanaugh then added, if the officers learned that the individual they stopped is a U.S. citizen or otherwise lawfully in the United States, they promptly let that individual go. That's not the point. The problem is the stop in the first place, okay? The problem is that they're being racially profiled. That's the issue. I am again shocked, but not surprised that this is the type of like baby-brained logic that we're being told by the Supreme Court. Like, oh well, yeah, it's fine. Hey, look, as soon as they find that you're not undocumented, then you're let go, so what's the problem? If you've done nothing wrong, you have nothing to fear. That's not how the justice system works. Like that completely turns on its head the concept of presumed innocence. Like that completely turns on its head the concept of like, innocent until proven guilty. This is hey, this person looks like their words. This person looks like an illegal. We got to stop him and find out. Like that's not how this works at all. They'll even arrest Republicans for going to college. The brown ones, yeah. Nadia, welcome. I got a short-term rental that cuts my costs in half relative to hotels. Hey, nice. Wolf Glenn, welcome. So Trump wants millions of POC deported every year, so Miller said go find POC folks at Home Depot and restaurants. Never mind criminals. Yep, never mind criminals. They're not going after criminals. Not really. I fear getting shot for attempting to cross the border. I mean, I wouldn't come here. Like, I'm not even joking. This is not a safe place. Like, this is not a safe place right now. This is not a safe place. The Trump administration has repeatedly asked the Supreme Court this year to allow it to proceed with policies that lower courts have impeded after casting doubt on their legality. The court has backed Trump in most of these cases. For instance, it has allowed Trump to deport migrants across to countries other than their own without offering a chance to show the harms they may face and revoke temporary legal status previously granted by the government on humanitarian grounds to hundreds of thousands of migrants. Trump won election last year to a second term with a promise of record-level deportations. Like, yeah, I mean, like, this is like the thing that gets me, right? Like, the thing that gets me, like, oh, I didn't know he was going after, like, Meemaw, or I didn't know he was going after, like, hardworking people. Bro, he literally told you what was, there was literal signs. Like, not metaphorical, there was literal signs. His administration's immigration raids, including in LA, have prompted panic in immigrant communities as well as protests and have drawn lawsuits over aggressive tactics. Yada, yada, yada. We know the rest. I mean, this is truly dystopic stuff, right? Like, this is like the next, like, little step that we keep climbing, right? Little by little. Next paycheck, I can finally pay my immigration lawyer. Hey, nice. Nice. Every little decision that we've seen has pushed us little by little by little by little. And this one is pretty stark, if I do say so myself. This is pretty stark. To say that you can now essentially you can now racially profile people, and again, like part of the plan for these guys is to expedite deportations, right? Like they don't want to go through the whole due process, so they just want to put people on planes and boot them out of the country, right? For looking brown, essentially. And if you can be profiled, right, and you can just be kidnapped off the street and taken to a ICE concentration camp and then deported quickly, your citizenship status does not protect you, okay? And that is something that people, that I want to ingrain in people. People need to be talking about this with their family and friends as much as possible. Protect each other. Especially if you're in the of a POC community. Your citizenship status does not guarantee your safety. The best case scenario that can happen to you is that you are locked up, interrogated for hours or maybe days before you are let go. And that's maybe if you're lucky. That's maybe if you're lucky. Like, that is the best outcome. If you're a US citizen and you get roped up because you were profiled, it may be hours, it may be a couple days that you will be locked up in these concentration camps before you're let out. Hey, welcome on the YouTube side. They're willing to remove the rights of as million people just to get 10 out of their undesirables. Whatever it takes. I mean, none of it makes sense. But whatever it takes. They use his artboard to pick the deportation country too. Yep. Mature themes equals LGBT existence. 100%. If you're catching up, yep. 1000%, Nadia. Oh, we're live. I went through like 5 Klinsky videos before YouTube recommended this to me. Oh, wow. Hey, YouTube actually recommended this to you. I'll be darned. Holy cow. I didn't even think YouTube did that. That's kind of cool. Imagine no call, no showing work for 10 days, and the only excuse you have to give them is you were in jail. They're ruining so many lives. Yep. Yep, and it could be for completely no reason, by the way. None at all. Like, you could just be you can just be a POC minding your own business, and you get profiled, and now, you miss... I mean, heck, even missing 1 day of work is already a problem. Being late to work, depending on your situation, is already kind of sketchy. Being late, being absent, especially if you have no way of like letting your job know. I mean, it's bad. It's bad. Stay out of towning booths. Situation's not great, folks. Especially with this Supreme Court decision. I mean, it's shocking every time. Every time, it's incredibly shocking. These are the bad times, folks. This is the this is the bad place. This is the bad place, folks. Protect each other. Stay aware. If you see something, say something. If you feel comfortable with protesting, do so. Have the difficult conversations with friends and family. I know YouTube's stuff is kind of weird. I mean, it is what it is. You want to talk about suppression? The court is the only one that interprets the Constitution. As you can rewrite it. These branches had way more power than they were letting on. Clearly. We were told the president doesn't have that much power. The president is just a small bean. Yet here he is with all this power. All right, folks. Yeah, let's checks and balances. None. Gone. For all intents and purposes. Mostly you wrote it. Death by 1,000 Supreme Court decisions. %, that belief was widespread in the 90s to excuse Bush's behavior. Yep. In your account. Yep. All right, folks, I gotta get out of here. Get some food. Thank you all for being here. Appreciate the support. Oh, I'm supposed to dab. All right, well, I guess I'm in full screen now, so I can dab. There you go. I was in top chat. Thank you for streaming. No, thank you. Thank you all for being here. Appreciate it. Folks, if you want to support the channel, okay, we need an Uber ASAP. Well, take care, Soul Life. Jesse James, thank you. Michael Hassler and Heat, thank you for modding the channel. Appreciate it. Do all the things, folks. All the links are there. Make sure if you want to support the channel directly, check out the merch store. Do the ! tip. Discord, Substack. And good to see everyone here. Appreciate it. Ground level news. Ladybug, thank you. Appreciate all of you folks being here. Do all the stuff, folks. Check out my show on this space tomorrow, 7 p.m. Every Tuesday. We'll be back Wednesday, Thursday. Thank you all. Yeah, hit the subscribe. We just made it past 400. Nos vamos, indeed. YouTube folks, thank you. Twitch folks, hang tight. As always, folks, please stay safe. Please take care of each other. I love you all, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Tomorrow, 7 p.m. on this space. See ya. Vámonos. Hang tight, folks. Oh, yeah, I agree with you, Nadia. I agree 100%. Hang tight, folks. Alright, folks, we're hanging out. We're heading out. I guess we were hanging out, but we're heading out in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bye-bye.